It's Bourbonnight. Hello, I'm Chad.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, we have two very familiar bottles sitting here on the table. What do we have?
We have E.H. Taylor Single Barrel and E.H. Taylor Small Batch. Blast from the past, Chad.
Blast from the past.
I know that you might not remember because we've done almost 200.
I remember everything.
Oh God, that's scary. We've done almost 200 uncorkings.
Yeah, this is 196 if our count is correct.
Right. The first one that we did together, which will count as the first one, was...
Wait, just 1 minute. You are not going to get past our very first uncorking, which was just you at your apartment on your cell phone.
Well, right off the bat, it smells sweet. Sorry, low battery. And you also by yourself.
So let's just give it a little pour. Yeah, we thought we could cover more ground.
Yeah, that was the idea. We swiftly learned that that's not the way to do it. So technically, our first uncorking together
ended up being a twofer.
I like to keep the faux tax stamps in as much...
as good a condition as possible.
As good of a condition,
if you'll notice
yeah.
on this bottle.
Yeah, right.
It was a E.H. Taylor Single Barrel, my 2015 compared to your 2016, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's right. So that was back before we had the drink this or that. So technically, this is a drink this or that.
Right.
But, you know, back then...
We hadn't come up with that yet.
We hadn't come up with that, so
that idea
it was
hadn't
just
been
a double
cooked up.
uncorking. So to pay...
Double uncorking.
All the way.
It's
to
so
pay,
beautiful.
Homage, pick your poison there. We are going to revisit our very first together uncorking.
Because why not? To celebrate our 5-year anniversary?
Yeah, by doing these.
Okay.
5 years.
Now let it be known that this is not the same bottle that
Right.
we did back then. Obviously, that's
Yes.
long gone.
And this was just opened last week or maybe the week before that.
Recently.
Recently.
So we'll do a drink this or that and we'll hopefully let you know.
So we're going to put the Taylor Small Batch in the It's Bourbonnight Glencairn. We're going to put the Taylor Single Barrel in the Drink More Bourbon Glencairn. Let's get these poured. All right, we got them all poured, and we just want to take a second to say, if you haven't subscribed to us already, we've been doing this for 5 years. We have over 500 videos. Maybe it's time to put a ring on it and hit that subscribe button.
Okay.
We would really love it if you did. We'd
We
really
would.
appreciate it.
Help us make the next 5 years
Yeah.
just
Even better. So these are both 100 proof. They're both bottled in bond. So
Yes.
that means they're, the minimum of
100 proof.
4 years. They have to be 100 proof.
Bonded warehouses.
Yeah, one distilling season.
One distiller.
One distiller, one distillery. I think that's all, yeah. So they're very similar in that, except this is a batched product, and this is a single barrel. Now,
The smallest of batches.
the smallest of batches
smallest batch
is
you can
a
get is a single barrel.
Now, the reason why we did the 15 versus 16 back then is because...
Well, you thought you didn't like it.
Yeah, I thought... Because I knew I loved small batch. I'd had that before, and then I finally found a single barrel.
He was very proud until he
And
tried it.
It tasted terrible. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see it. Move your head, Sarah. There it is right there. It's still there.
Is that the wet hay bottle?
That is the wet hay bottle.
Yeah, it tastes really bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, he was telling me about how awful it was, and I was like, wait, I have
you
an
talking
E.H.
about?
Taylor Single Barrel from 2015 that is delicious and just enchanting, and I love it. I was like, there's no way we're talking about the same thing, and thus the idea for this first drink this or that, technically.
Yeah.
Side by side,
I actually
double
took a little
uncorking.
drag of that one earlier to see if that was the bottle, and it is still just as bad.
Just as bad.
It keeps sitting there when people come over and like, hey, you want to taste something bad? But I think we're going to go with our It's Bourbonnight glass, which is the small batch first.
Okay, fair.
Grapes.
But no, I don't know if it's as much as normal. Like, I feel like we normally get a stronger grapey note on Buffalo Trace.
But it is
products.
there.
Yeah, it is in there. I get a little mustiness.
But the barrel, I mean, the char is sort of there. And it's also sort of a little savory, like a little, skin of a steak. It's kind of...
I feel like more recently, the grapey note, and I don't come at me for this, but I feel like the grapey note in Buffalo Trace has turned more into a raisin note. I know that a raisin is a grape. Okay, shut up.
Wait, what?
It's a transformed grape, though, and it doesn't smell the same as a fresh grape, so shush. Shut your mouth. But it's 2 words. It smells like a sugared grape,
Or,
you know?
I did this. It smells like 2 words.
It smells like a sugared raisin. Those were the words I was looking
A
for.
sugared raisin.
A raisin rolled in sugar,
It's a raisin bran.
basically.
Classic. This is one of the first bottles that when I was kind of coming up, getting more and more into bourbon, and people would say, hey, what's your favorite bourbon? And I didn't want to be like so many other people and just say, I like Woodford Reserve or whatever.
You want to go against the grain and stand out in the crowd.
Or even just saying like Blanton's. And I found this and I was like, I think this might be it. So anytime I saw a bottle, I would get one. And now it's much, much harder to find this. You can sometimes find it at the distillery.
Sometimes.
But just sitting around in stores, like...
Not usually.
Not anymore.
You might
in
see
this
like
area.
one randomly behind the counter and you're like, whoa, where is that?
But of course, the price would be jacked up.
It's a tiny bit dry.
It has a little bit of a tobacco finish.
Yes, I completely agree.
Tobacco leaf.
A little cinnamon, still the raisiny notes, and maybe like a touch of syrupiness, but
It's got a nice
little
little
hug.
Kentucky hug
it's a little pat.
setting in there. Yeah. It's a nice, nice 100 proof. We love that
Just trying
proof.
to give you a little comfort on a hard day.
I appreciate it.
I've already had my second sip, so I guess I'll have a third.
There's nothing wrong with the small batch. It's really solid. I've never been disappointed by a bottle of small batch, and I've had a few of these.
I feel like it's generally a crowd pleaser, right? It's one of those safety bottles where I feel like, I mean, I know that there are people out there that don't like it, but I don't know that I've met one, so.
Well, and we should say MSRP on this nowadays is around $40.
$40,
About
$39.99.
ready to step up to the single barrel, which is a little higher.
Yeah, it's listed at $60, but I don't think I've ever seen it for $60. It's always been closer to $80.
Yeah.
And I always think of it in my head as double of the small batch, and that's I think all I've ever been able to find it for. So.
Right. But before we step up, we just want to hit pause, tell you about our home on the internet is whiskeyambitions.com.
We have new merch.
We got some new stuff. We're both wearing one.
Woo!
New logos here. It's a 5-year rebrand. This is what we're calling the monogram logo. Sarah,
See how it has a nice little IBN monogram?
right there. It's Bourbonnight. Sarah has the full logo.
Full logo. You can't see it, but there's four flight glasses.
The 4 Glencairns right there.
Still a monogram.
Speaking of Glencairns, we of course have our classic logo, but we have now.
We have the Glencairns that have each of these logos on them.
Correct.
And Copitas as well. See? There's
Copitas. With the hat.
With the hat. And last but not least, this beautiful anniversary limited edition
cut crystal.
Cut crystal Glencairn. It is crystal. And it does have a 5-year anniversary emblem on one side and the full logo on the other side.
Yeah.
So these will be limited.
Yeah. Oh, new logos on the rocks glasses that we have as well.
The rocks glasses, pins.
Of course, we have the water glasses.
Gosh, I don't even know. I feel like I'm missing something. Hats and coins coming soon. There have been some production issues.
This guy right here.
Little lens.
Little
Look
lenses
at that.
for the Glencairns.
How cute.
We told you new stuff was coming, and there it is at whiskeyambitions.com.
That's the whole thing. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight and be the first one to learn about new merch, first crack at barrel picks, or even being a part of a barrel pick with us.
That's right.
Patron-only podcasts, after the episode exclusives, and more.
Oh, and discounts.
Discounts.
Whiskeyambitions.com.
Discounts.
By being a patron as well. Okay.
On to the single barrel.
Onto the single barrel here.
Barrel here.
Onto the single barrel here.
It's got more of a depth on the nose. A little more cinnamon.
I'm not getting that grape through line that I sort of was more on the
Not
small
as
batch.
much. Again, I'm thinking of it more as like that raisin. And I get a little bit of that, but I think it's
To me, this comes off more raisin than the small batch does.
I think it's got more syrupy cinnamon.
Or this got sort of more like a date even than a raisin.
I could go date.
Yeah. Good nose, possibly a little bit elevated than the small batch, I'd say. Woo!
It's a little harsh. There's a lot of char notes and tobacco.
It does kind of give a little bit more of a tongue punch.
I think there's some, and a lot of, it's got like oaky char. It's pretty, it sticks.
Yes. 60 ribs. No, yeah, more the tobacco note, more barrel for sure.
Barrel influence. This particular bottle, I think, is giving me like wet wood.
Wet wood.
Yeah, like fresh cut wood.
Do you think
Maybe it's wet or it's green.
Well, do you think that's just because it's more earthy?
It
than
does
small
have
batch?
some earthiness. Yeah.
It does have more
But
heat
that's
to it.
what I feel like it tastes like. It's reminding me.
It dances more over all of your tongue with that spice, more so than the small batch. Kind of big time. It's more of a, just sort of like a cracked black pepper spice to it.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm like licking the inside of a barrel stave, like the char and the wood. It's just so like I miss those nice little bit of syrup, little bit of cinnamon, raisiny notes that I was getting on the small batch because I feel like this is very focused on the wood notes and the char and the tobacco.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I first had it, I was actually liking that step up in the barrel notes, but now that the finish is really settling in, especially off the second sip, it is going a little bit bitter and almost a little bit too dark chocolate, like a really high percentage cocoa or cacao, whatever you prefer to say, that I'm kind of wishing there was a sweet spot middle here. Like the approachability and the nice, hey, how you doing? Let's have a good time of the small batch, and then a little bit more elevated barrel, a little
Maybe
bit
some
more
of those
complexity,
maturity.
darker notes. Yeah, I wish there was a Goldilocks here. And of course, the thing with with single barrels is they are single barrels.
Right.
So your single barrel
It's gonna be different.
I mean, they go for consistency. They're a big brand. They know how to do that. They have master tasters and master distillers, but single barrels do vary, as we saw with my first bottle, and
Yeah.
we've seen with other brands and their single barrels.
Yeah, I feel like it's left this almost like, again, like sour wood. And it almost reminds me, I can see the connection between this bottle and the wet hay bottle, to be honest. I'm not saying it's that bad because I think the wet hay bottle is like undrinkable.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now. What we're going to do on another round of Chad and Sarah, which is a Patreon extra episode for patrons, we're going to drink that wet hay bottle.
I don't want to.
We're going to do it. Oh, we're going to do it.
But yeah, it's left this like aftertaste that I'm not liking. Which I really felt like, I don't know, that first bottle was so good. And the ones I've had since then, I don't feel like I've been as good as that one special bottle that I had.
Well, and we
I'm
see
going back to
that
the small
kind
batch.
of go across a lot of different distilleries. It's a little bit of that, they don't make it like they used to type of thinking, but you do definitely see it kind of across the board. Not strictly,
No.
But you do see it crop up.
Well, I mean, the demand has risen.
Right.
And the production has been ramped up, and there's a
Right.
lot of pressure there to
Right.
meet
Yeah.
the demand.
Totally.
Do me a favor, go back to the small batch.
Okay. Small batch. Ooh, fruitier. Lighter, fruitier, more syrupy, actually.
I'm going to tell you right now that I have my answer.
Back to the single barrel. Okay, I see the parts of the single barrel that you aren't liking, because I know, just from doing this channel for 5 years, that when things get too oaky or too smoky, it turns you off.
Mostly the
I'm
oak.
more on board with some of those flavors, so that's kind of the part that I'm appreciating. But I can totally see, that and licorice taste.
Right.
Kill it for you.
I mean, I don't think it's as much that I don't like oak and smoke and leather. I think it's just like when things get over oaked.
Right. Well,
For me, there's nothing balancing out those notes in this.
Yeah.
I'm missing the counterbalance of what makes
Sure.
it one whole experience. Whereas with this one, I feel like I'm getting a more well-rounded, which makes sense because they've blended it
Right.
to hit that note.
Exactly.
And this one is just relying on what was in that one barrel.
Well, what I'm saying is I feel like I have a higher threshold for when I feel like it's still within balance than you do
Sure.
for oak and smoke.
Sure.
And what I don't love about the single barrel, this particular one, is how the finish kind of sits and just gets darker and a little drier and a little tighter, if that makes sense. So if this were a drink this or that, which is not because we're playing off
Why
the
is it not?
Uncorking theme,
Oh,
I would choose the small
I
batch.
agree.
It's generally more consistent.
this is harder to find. It is more expensive. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm not saying it's bad. But why would I pay $20, usually $40 more when I like this? I think this one's more balanced, personally.
It's less of a gamble.
Yeah.
With the small batch, there's a little bit of a gamble here with the
Little
single
bit.
barrel that you get one that's just going to be a little off profile, like happened to me first time.
If
I
you
got
find one and you want one, get it. But like, I'm just saying, This isn't a consolation prize.
If
I
you
guess.
haven't been able to find a single barrel, don't worry about it. If you have
Just get a small
batch, you're all good.
I would be happy with a small batch over a single barrel, to be honest.
Agreed. Well, that's where we'll leave it. If you guys haven't subscribed again, come on over. We'd love to have you. You can click right up here to do so. There's suggestions of other videos right down here, and hope to see you over there. Happy 5 years. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay, until next time, drink more bourbon.